It says, consider Jesus now. It says, consider Jesus. And so the admonition to those who are actively partaking or walking in this call is simple. It's to consider Jesus. Right? And I tell us, Jesus is not a means to the end. He is the beginning, the way through, and the very end. Okay? He's really what our life is about. Okay? He's not a means for the platform ministry. He's not a means to get to something or to receive a promise, though he does that. But I tell you, he says we're to enjoy him, we're to know him, and he's to satisfy us every step of the way. Our lives are built on Christ and Christ alone. Right. We never graduate from considering Jesus. Right? He's our focal point. It says he started it. Right? It's by him, it's through him, and it's for him are all things. Right? Meaning our lives are about him. And so it says we never get beyond him, meaning, and we don't want to outgrow him. Because here's what happens when you touch Jesus. The more you touch him, it's how this kingdom works. The more you touch him, the more you're hungry for him. It's like the more you touch him, the less you actually think, the less we have. And our appetite grows, our capacity grows. And so like we know him a little bit, the more we see him, his beauty, his glory, his kindness, then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, I really don't know much about him. I want to know him more, right? And actually our appetite and our desire grows. And a red flag should be this. When we don't have much of an appetite, it means we probably don't know him that well. Right? If there's not an appetite for it, it means we actually haven't tasted. We might have heard a lot about him. We might be around the church and around friends that talk about him. Right? But how much of it has internally gripped us and laid a hold of us where we go, I want to encounter Jesus for myself. Okay? Because when you do, here's what it says. I think it's Mark 4. It says, to him who has, more will be given. It's an odd principle in the kingdom. The more you have, actually more is going to be given, right? But if you don't, even what you think you have will be taken away from you, right? And actually in the kingdom, the rich get richer in the knowledge of Christ. Yes. That's how it works. It's not socialism, okay? It's not socialism where it's like everyone gets this. No. The rich get richer, meaning this. He'll feed us according to our hunger. That's how the scripture works. He'll feed us according to our hunger. And this is how hunger grows. The more you taste of it, our hunger gets awakened. Our appetite increases. And so it's like, well, if there's not a desire, it's a red flag going, how much of Jesus am I actually encountering? How much of him am I meeting? And how much of his voice am I hearing? Because you can be inundated with church and Christianity and Bible school and still not touch Jesus. It's called religion. Right? It's happened. Look at Judaism. They knew the promises of God. When Jesus, the Son of God, incarnate in their midst, they missed him and they crucified him. Beloved, we're not above that. Right? We can be all around it and surround it, and our hearts can still be hardened and it can still be cold. Right? And actually Jennifer's going to talk a little bit about this, about unbelief, different areas of unbelief next few weeks here. Because we can be inundated. And this is part of being so familiar. We actually get so familiar with Jesus, his word, his promises, that actually we're not engaging with him. We can sit through a worship service, a song, hear a sermon. We're so used to it, really, and that it actually doesn't have the same effect on us any longer. Right? And we get cold. There's unbelief. Oh yeah, we know that. Oh yeah, we do this. We know the songs. We can sing. We can give the sermons, and we know this. We can do it. And actually, haughtiness or pride or just a veil goes over our hearts. We have to not allow that to come. Right? It runs parallel because you touch the Lord and more hunger happens. But if you're in the midst and you don't touch the Lord, that veil will come over us. It's religion. Right? And we think we're doing it. We think we know him. But really, it's how hungry are we? How much of our spiritual appetite is awakened and is growing. Right? And it's a real thing. And a lot of times, you won't know actually until a crisis happens. You won't know until something happens and then really how much you've tasted and have faith and how much you've walked on other people's coattails. Okay? It's really true. I've seen it in our lives. Okay? You won't know because it looks the same and you're doing the same things. Right? But when it comes to being radical, when it comes to sacrifice, when it comes to faith and you're willing to go on that ledge, all of a sudden those lines begin to divide. Because to really sacrifice, you have to really believe. And to really believe, you have to have tasted and encountered. You can't listen to someone else's testimony. It's not your own. And you will not sacrifice and not pay the price for things unless it's worth it to you. And Jesus will not be worth it to you just listening to someone else's story. You have to hear his voice. Like you have to have your heart touched. Okay? And so it's like it says, he comes back and says, so consider him. Like